is Kylie, your girl Kylie. Welcome back to the 31 Days of Wisdom Bible Reading Challenge in the book of Proverbs. Today we are on day 17, so we're in Proverbs 17, and this is some amazing scripture right here. When I was reading it, I was like, honestly, it was so heavy hitting that I was like, wow. It was definitely some deep wisdom and some very direct, maybe even a little bit of harsh verses, but it's stuff that we do need to grow on our walks with the Lord. So let's talk about it today. Before I go into, the scripture, of course, I'm going to give you guys a reminder that you have to read the scripture for yourself. Yes, you can watch videos, not even just my videos, but any videos online on social media, any quote posts that you see around the way online on the internet. But your real growth and relationship with God starts with your own personal reading and meditating on the word. So make sure that you guys are reading the scripture for yourself, taking down notes for yourself. There's a verse that's going to stick out to you personally for what you're going through or dealing with in your walk with God. So make sure you're reading the scripture for yourself. But with that being said, let's get into the scripture for today because it is amazing. Proverbs chapter 17 verse 1. Better is a dry morsel and quietness therewith than a house full of sacrifices with strife. So we've heard about this kind of concept in a previous Proverbs of how it is better to have a humble, quiet, peaceful home or, peaceful relationship rather than, having much of something, but then the home is, chaotic or there's hatred at the table, right? So Proverbs 17 verse 1. It's better to have little food and peace than to have a lot and live in chaos. Peace is more valuable than abundance when there's constant conflict. So it's better to have little food and peace than to have a lot and live in chaos. The scripture says our peace, basically is telling us our peace is very valuable and it's everything to us. And if we don't have that, it's going to be very difficult for us to kind of function. So peace is important. And it's better to have little and have peace than to have a whole bunch and have a whole bunch of chaos. Verse 2, a wise servant shall have rule over a son that causeth shame, and shall have part of the inheritance among the brethren. So this verse is something that we see a lot with, when it comes to who's in the will, who's in the trust, right? The shameful son, the shameful, child who didn't care about what their parents had going on while they were alive and things of that nature. It says a wise servant will rule over a son that causes shame. So basically, it's not saying in every situation is the, wise and faithful servant in the home going to inherit everything. It's basically saying that wisdom and character matter more than blood. A faithful servant may be elevated even above a foolish or shameful heir. So just because you're heir to something doesn't mean that you're going to inherit it. Your character matters. And this goes the same way with the Most High. It doesn't matter, if you happen to come up from a bloodline of royal, princes, and you find out that, you are directly connected to King David himself. That doesn't matter for anything if your character isn't up to par. Verse 3. The refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the hearts. So just as fire purifies metal, God tests and refines our hearts, our motives, thoughts, and character. Verse 4, a wicked doer giveth heed to false lips, and a liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue. Wicked people are drawn to wicked speech. If someone enjoys gossip or slander, it reveals what's in their heart, and that's what wicked people are naturally drawn to. They will be the first person there when you have some juicy gossip or the tea to give them. So definitely are able to tell the difference between a righteous person and a wicked person when it comes down to, what they are attracted to listening. Verse 5, whoso mocketh the poor reproacheth his maker, and he that is glad at calamity shall not be unpunished. Verse 6, children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. So this is something we actually see in life overall. And once again, it makes me just know that the Most High really understands our nature as human beings, because everyone knows that for the most part, grandparents are so into their grandchildren, and they literally are they can do no wrong in their eyes. Like, it's hilarious, right? My grandmother was the same way, is the same way. So grandchildren are a joy to their grandparents, and children take pride in having a good father. So the glory of children is their father. When, you know, children have great parents, a great father, it's very evident. It's also a great, you know, it's a glory to them. They boast about it all the day long, like, my dad this, and you know my mom this. You know, it's a thing. So that's just, honestly, I think that's like human nature, and it's something the Most High is telling us, that that's kind of how we're wired. Verse 7, excellent speech becometh not a fool, much less do lying lips a prince. So excellent speech doesn't suit a fool. Same way, lying lips does not suit a prince or suit a leader, right? It doesn't go together. Verse 8, a gift is as precious stone in the eyes of him that have it. Whatsoever it turneth, it prospereth. So this verse is a bit to understand, just because it uses the word gift. But right here in this context, gift means bribe, right? So it says a bribe is as a precious stone in the eyes of him that have it. So someone who takes a bribe or accepts a bribe, to them they hit a lick. To them they have something really valuable and precious. And whatsoever it turneth, it prospereth. So they think they're very, very powerful in having that thing. The scripture is not, you know, saying that this is a good thing. The scripture is just saying those who accept that bribe, this is kind of their heart posture, right? They think that they're unstoppable. Verse 9, he that covereth a transgression seeketh love, but he that repeateth a matter separateth very friends. So listen, we know that love covers a multitude of sins. We know that, you know, love is just the heart of the gospel. God is love, right? We are called to love others, even our enemies. So love covers a transgression, but he that repeateth a matter separateth very friends. So he that continues to talk about the things that were done, you know, repeatedly bringing up a matter that already happened, or gossiping, causes division. So we are not to do that. Love forgives and lets things go. Verse 10, a reproof entereth more into a wise man than 100 stripes into a fool. A wise person will actually learn from the correction, as opposed to a fool may not even change after harsh consequences. In this verse, the harsh consequence is described as 100 stripes. But anyways, it's often very true, and you'll see it even in children sometimes, where they just continue to do the wrong thing over and over and over again, no matter how much punishment they do receive. Verse 11, an evil man seeketh only rebellion, therefore a cruel messenger shall be sent against him. Verse 12, let a bear robbed of her whelps meet a man rather than a fool in his folly. It says, let you run into a bear robbed of her cubs, a raging bear, over a foolish man doing foolish things. The scripture says a foolish person is even worse than a raging bear, right? You know how crazy that is to say, because it's so interesting. Not only can this foolish man get you into physical danger, like, you know, somehow ending up in a situation where you're in front of a raging bear, but also spiritually, and eventually leading you down the path to eternal damnation. So it's much, much worse. And that's why the scripture is so against, you know, the foolishness. It's so against, you know, even acting like the foolish people, or even walking in the way of the wicked, because it really will lead you down a dark path, not just now, but eternally. Verse 13, whoso rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. Verse 14, the beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water. Therefore leave off contention before it be meddled with. Okay, the beginning of strife is like the letting out of water. So you know how, you know, let's see, it starts drizzling. The beginning of strife is like a drizzle. The scripture is telling us it's best to catch it right then and there before it starts raining, and then it's out of control, right? So the beginning of strife is like a little letting out of water. So like when it drizzles in the sky, you're like, oh, it's about to rain. That's when the scripture says, hey, catch that problem, because it's going to start thundering, lightning, and that rain's going to come down. It's going to be heavy. So catch that, the fight, the argument, whatever it be, early on. Verse 15. He that justifieth the wicked and he that condemneth the just, even they both are an abomination to the Lord. So you justify wicked people, you're an abomination to the Lord. If you condemn people doing right, you are an abomination to the Lord. The Most High said you're in the same box when it comes down to that. 16. Wherefore is there a price in the hand of a fool to get wisdom, seeing he have no heart to it? Okay, so a fool may have money or opportunity to gain wisdom, but if their heart isn't in it, if their heart isn't open, it won't matter. And this actually made me kind of correlate it to situations of, for example, children playing sports. They have all the money and opportunity to go to the best schools or whatever it may be, get the best training for their sport, but if their heart's not in it, it won't matter. Same thing with the fool. They may have the money to, be in those certain rooms to get some more knowledge. They may have the money to seek these expensive teachers that can teach them more about whatever they're trying to gain wisdom on. But if their heart's not in it, it won't matter. It's vain. Verse 17. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. A true friend is someone who's there in the great and the bad times, right? The times of adversity. Verse 18, a man void of understanding striketh hands and becometh surety in the presence of his friend. A man void of understanding, a man that is not foolish and that's not walking in the ways of wisdom, makes reckless deals, especially financial promises, heat of the moment. That is not what the scripture tells us to do. We have to think those type of things through. Verse 20, he that have a froward heart findeth no good, and he that hath verse 19, he loveth transgression that loveth strife, and he that exalteth his gate seeketh destruction. So he that loveth sin loveth more trouble to come onto them. That's clearly what it is. But he that and also he that exalted his gate, so prideful, you're seeking destruction. The scripture saying you want to be prideful, you're just going to end up falling anyway. Verse 20, he that have a froward heart findeth no good, and he that have a perverse tongue falleth into mischief. Okay, having that type of corrupt character will always catch up to you. Verse 21, he that begetteth a fool doeth it to his sorrow, and the father of a fool have no joy. Raising a foolish child brings deep sorrow to a parent, right? Verse 22, a merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. Joy truly brings healing, and that's why they say smiling or laughter is the best medicine. When we're happy, when we're joyful, when we're smiling, when we're in a grateful state of gratitude and all those things like that, it really is health unto us. And then on the flip side, deep sadness can affect the soul and the body. Verse 23, a wicked man taketh a gift out of the bosom to pervert the ways of judgment. So once again, the talk about bribery. Verse 24, wisdom is before him that have understanding, but the eyes of a fool are in the ends of the earth. So a wise person is grounded, a wise person is focused, but the eyes of the foolish, it says here, are in the ends of the earth, meaning they're chasing and going after left, right, up, and down. They are not stable, they are not rooted. Verse 25, a foolish son is a grief to his father, and bitterness to her that bare him. Verse 26, also to punish the just is not good, nor to strike princes for equity. So same thing we heard back in verse, 15, condemning the just. Most High doesn't stand for it. 27, he that have knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit, okay? And verse 28, even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding. What I love so much about this verse is that it says even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted wise, meaning it is so important to hold your peace, to hold your tongue, and to not just recklessly say things, right? Because that can lead you into entrapment, more destruction, the hurt of other people, whatever it may be. So even a fool is counted wise for holding his peace. Even that person that you know is a crash out or gets very angry very quickly, that you're still working with them, when they hold their peace, you're like, oh shoot, whoa, you just congratulations, like that's a big deal. So holding your peace is very important. It's definitely a great attribute of wisdom, to hold your peace and to not just be so reckless in speech. But yeah, so that is Proverbs 17 for today. Once again, some hard-hitting wisdom and knowledge, but stuff that we definitely do need. I love this whole thing, honestly. It definitely is talking about big time, the wisdom, what the wise people do, and what the foolish people do, and how it's actually a reminder for us not to go in that way. So better is it to have little and have peace in your home. It's not very becoming of someone who is walking in wisdom to have lying lips or perverse tongue, to not bring up matters over and over again, gossiping, or, you know, you've already forgiven the person that you're talking about it again. Love forgives and lets go. What is it? It's better to be in front of a raging bear than to be participating with a fool. That was crazy. That was really crazy. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. A man void of understanding striketh hands and becometh surety in the presence of his friend. So we know not to make rash, reckless, heat of the moment, financial promises to others. And yeah, wisdom. It says, even when a fool holdeth his peace, they are counted wise. So this is some amazing scripture for today. I really hope that you guys took from it and really realize, like, we have to be mindful of the things that we're doing, because sometimes we walk out here a little foolish, but that's all right. Through scripture, we learn how to move forward and walk in truth and walk in righteousness and walk like the Most High has called us to. So that's good. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you guys share this video out to your friends and family. Even if you only hit the copy link button, make sure you guys share it out. Subscribe and turn on your post notifications. And the comment for today will be, hold your peace. Hold my peace. I'm gonna hold my peace, whatever it may be. That's kind of the variations of comments that you guys can throw in those sections today. But thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 18. Bye.